In a wave of global reactions, world leaders have hailed U.S. President Donald Trump's Gaza peace breakthrough, following Hamas's agreement to release all hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was among the first to welcome the move, calling it a significant step forward. In a post on X, he said, "We welcome President Trump's leadership as peace efforts in Gaza make decisive progress. Indications of the release of hostages mark a significant step forward." Modi had earlier praised Trump's 20-point plan, describing it as a pathway to long-term peace for both Israelis and Palestinians. Trump's order to Israel late Friday to immediately stop the bombardment of Gaza came after Hamas publicly accepted key elements of the U.S. peace proposal. The move has sparked cautious optimism across global capitals. French President Emmanuel Macron posted on X, "The release of all hostages and a ceasefire in Gaza are within reach. Hamas' commitment must be followed up without delay. We now have the opportunity to make decisive progress towards peace." France will play its full part in line with its efforts at the United Nations, alongside the United States, Israelis and Palestinians, and all of its international partners. "I would like to thank President at Real Donald Trump and his team for their commitment to peace." UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer also praised the development, writing, "We strongly support President Trump's efforts, which have brought us closer to peace than ever before. There is now an opportunity to end the fighting, for the hostages to return home, and for humanitarian aid to reach those who so desperately need it. We call on all sides to implement the agreement without delay." From Ottawa, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney issued a detailed statement. "Canada welcomes commitments from Hamas to relinquish power and release all remaining hostages, living and deceased. We encourage all parties to immediately work to turn commitments into reality, and to advance peace and security in the region. We thank President Trump for his essential leadership. Canada is intensifying its coordination with international partners to build a just and lasting peace. We stand ready to support the sustained, unimpeded, and large-scale delivery of humanitarian aid into and throughout Gaza. Canada is steadfast in its support for a sovereign, democratic, and viable state of Palestine, building its future in peace and security with the State of Israel." Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said she was following developments closely. "I follow with great attention the developments in Gaza and renew my full support for President Trump's efforts to bring peace to the Middle East. The priority for all must now be to reach a ceasefire that leads to the immediate release of all the hostages. Italy remains ready to do its part." Meanwhile, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese echoed the call for implementation. In his post on X, he said, "We have consistently been part of international calls for a ceasefire, the return of hostages, and unimpeded humanitarian aid to reach those in need. I reiterate our call on Hamas to agree to the plan, lay down its arms and release all remaining hostages without delay. Together with our partners, Australia will continue to support efforts to end the war and work towards a just and sustainable two-state solution." As Hamas signals willingness and Israel faces calls to halt airstrikes, attention now turns to how and when the Trump-brokered plan will take shape, and whether this marks the long-awaited turning point in the Gaza war.